The thing is, yes, this is a lot of stuff, but also 2 weeks, gear for cycling, gear for making stuff, living things, and I'm driving, so I don't know. So it's still the beginning of this artisan residence at the Suttle Lodge. The thought and the idea of this experience was grand, romantic, and beyond belief. A cabin by the lake at the Suttle Lodge, all to yourself for 2 weeks, nothing to distract you, but just focus on making some kind of work. All of those things sound really good on paper, but in reality, that's a little bit of a formula for a creative block. You see, for me, anything that's too open-ended is overwhelming, slows me down and blocks me up. And that's a little bit of what I'm feeling right now with this experience. I have this room to work on stuff, and I told myself that I would work on a body of work that was based around drawing and brushwork. Fairly straightforward. Drawing for me is a challenging medium. It's not easy, it's slow. I have a lot of demons in my head about it not looking right, not looking clean enough or professional enough or good enough or whatever. And the other side of me knows that none of that matters. Just do the work. Put in your time and push through those blocks, because those blocks will anchor you down and halt you from making any work at all. So the hardest part is to just keep trudging forward. And what I'm having difficulty with right now is, which step do I take next? Is it more thumbnails? Is it actual drawing? It hits this point where it's really easy to overthink everything. I've had several ideas going into this, which is very helpful, because coming into this blank would be totally overwhelming. I have resistance to drawing like none other. Part of me thinks it's the way that you physically have to be stuck in one place. You're not really moving around while you're doing it. It is supposed to look a certain way for representational stuff. You can tell if it looks off. But at the same time, it's totally free. There are no rules. It can be anything and everything. So it's finding that balance within those things. And also what I strive for is style. Find your own style or voice within the medium. And that really only comes from doing it. All of this stuff that I'm blathering on about, all these blocks, reasons, and excuses, they're all chalked up to bullshit. And the way to work them over is to just do the work. Put in the time and just chip away, bit by bit by bit. And it will slowly melt those blocks down. And things will shift and change. New things will come out of it. You'll get different ideas for directions you should go. Buckle up. I hope I listen to some of this, because I'm still confused. One step at a time. Why to make an image? Because you're compelled. But what if you're not always compelled? There's also something to be said about challenging yourself and trying different things. Because you could just doodle and it would be like nothingness. I've noticed in my work, I'm shifting from non-representational to way more representational. But it's hard to make things look like things. It's way easier to not have it look like anything. Then it can look like everything. Then it can look like nothing. Drawing is a lifetime of learning. I think a certain amount of it is letting yourself just be in the space, be in this beautiful place. I feel the knee-jerk reaction is to just go, go, go. One project to the next project, knock it out, knock it out, knock it out. And I'm only here for 2 weeks, so I gotta get as much done as I can. But I think there's tremendous value in not playing into that, to allow this time and space to kind of work itself out and let the normal everyday versions of things just shift and mold, and inevitably they'll turn into something new and something different. To allow time, space, no right and no wrong. An opportunity for exploration and epic bike rides. The balance of pressure to produce and I lost it. The balance of pressure to produce and allowing yourself to make freely. They can coincide, but how they coincide, I think that's the real art. The time at Suttle Lodge is winding down. I did 3 things while I was here. One was take an online anatomy course for artists. Doing something consistently over and over and over. What better way to get good at anything? Actually, the only way to get good at anything. So much of this drawing stuff is about making shitty drawings. You just have to make like a shitload of crappy drawings to know how to get better at drawing. I mean, it's hard to do something that you're not good at doing. Cool quote, read in a magazine just recently. Said person was so fixated on being good at music that they were willing to put up with being crappy in the beginning. Brilliant. The other thing I've been doing on this trip, the brushwork. So taking this drawing fundamental practice, this anatomy practice, working a figurative element into my brushwork. I have not felt super strong with drawing figures because I never really knew what they were made out of, hence the anatomy class. I like the idea of making just really simple figures. Then you can elaborate and make them very much your own. That's the goal. Another big thing I actually kind of stumbled on. I've known this, you know, all these rules and things everyone always hears, but there's a moment where it really clicks for you. Thumbnails. Oh, okay, I get it. Draw it simply. Duh. Don't dive into the main thing. Like, draw like a simple, crappy version on some scratch paper. There's so much freedom with a thumbnail or a rough sketch, or sometimes I like to use a scratch piece of paper because automatically, oh, this is garbage, there's no pressure to it. Because even sometimes just like a nice, perfect white sheet of paper is so intimidating. Holy cow. I'm thinking of an analogy to bring a piece of paper to a gunfight to intimidate that it's not worth even. Energy. Really thinking a lot just about energy and a way to kind of visually represent it. See it in a different way. There's something there. I'm just curious and I'm excited about it. Energy, which is kind of like the commotion style that I do, interacting between two people. And it's something that we all experience and we all know, but it's never visualized. Energy flows where attention goes. That's like a perfect verbal representation of what I would like to show visually. Sometimes it just comes out. Color. Color was another big thing I was super avoiding for a very long time. This was one where I was like, fuck it, I'm just gonna start doing, I wanted to draw figurative, something with energy, and color. Those are kind of the 3 elements to the brush practice, or drawing practice. So then, what the hell did you do for 2 weeks? I started off with the wax pencil drawings because they're just kind of light, easy, and fast. Just needed to make something to kind of keep pushing that process forward. Another interesting thing, none of this is interesting. Man, I had so much resistance towards just starting these brush things. It's so funny, man. Our brains are sometimes our worst enemy. Cell phone, aura, or energy, but it's getting sucked into the cell phone. Too much explanation? I don't know. I like to let the viewer interpret as they interpret because, you know what? That's going to happen anyways. So if you have an opportunity to explain something for a viewer, it might be helpful. You can't explain everything to anybody, everything to everybody. You can't explain anything to anybody. Guy and girl. I mean, that's life. All life comes from man and woman. This one, I love it. Satisfaction. This one's cool. This is almost misalignment. You're not in the same space that you need. Whatever. They like to let the viewer interpret. The point was to just do them. It wasn't necessarily quantity. There were only 7, but mission accomplished. Figures, brushwork, color. What more do you want from me? So, that's it. No bikes. But we'll talk about bikes in the future, most obviously. So don't let all this process nerd shit bog you down. Okay. Thanks, guys. See you soon.